Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are talking about one of the most important questions in personal growth, business, creativity, and success. What should I focus on? Everyone tells you to focus. Focus on one thing. Eliminate distractions. Commit deeply. Become great at one skill. Master one path. And this advice is true. Focus is one of the biggest factors behind success. When you study successful people, athletes, entrepreneurs, artists, writers, scientists, and leaders, you see one common pattern. They learned how to direct their energy towards something meaningful. But here is the problem. How do you know what to focus on? How do you know which idea deserves your time? Which skill should you develop? Which business should you build? Which direction should you choose? Because focus is powerful only after you choose the right thing to focus on. In the beginning, many people are confused. They want clarity before action. They want to know the perfect path before they start. They want certainty before they commit. They want a guarantee before they invest their time. But life does not usually work that way. Most of the time, clarity does not come before action. Clarity comes from action. You discover what works by trying. You discover what fits you by experimenting. You discover your strengths by doing different things and paying attention. Sometimes, before you focus deeply, you need to explore widely. That may sound opposite to the advice of focus, but it is not. Exploration helps you find the thing worth focusing on. Think about the phrase, try things until something comes easily. This does not mean everything should be easy. Great work is never completely easy, but some things feel more natural to you than others. Some skills grow faster in your hands. Some ideas create better results. Some work gives you energy instead of only taking energy away. Some paths seem to open doors instead of constantly closing them. When you try different things, you begin to notice patterns. Maybe you are better at writing than selling. Maybe you are better at design than coding. Maybe you are better at teaching than managing. Maybe you are better at building systems than creating content. You do not discover these things only by thinking. You discover them by doing. This is important for anyone starting a business, learning a skill, or building a new life. In the beginning, do not be afraid to test. Try different ideas. Try different methods. Try different projects. Try different styles. Try different opportunities. Give each one enough time to teach you something. Not 1 hour, not 1 day, but enough time to see whether it has potential. Then observe. What gets results? What feels natural? What creates momentum? What do people respond to? What gives you energy? What are you willing to repeat? Focus is easier when something is working. It is much harder to force yourself to focus on a bad idea. But exploration cannot continue forever. At some point, you have to make a decision. This is where many people get stuck. They keep searching. They keep researching. They keep comparing. They keep waiting for more information. But there comes a time when more information is not the answer. You simply need to make a choice. Choose the skill. Choose the project. Choose the business idea. Choose the class. Choose the direction. You cannot try everything. And you cannot become great while constantly changing direction. Experimentation is useful in the beginning, but commitment is required for mastery. This is one of the hardest tensions in life. Should I keep exploring? Or should I focus? Should I test more options? Or should I double down? Should I try a new idea? Or should I improve the current one? There is no perfect formula. Success is not like following a recipe. There is no exact step-by-step guide that guarantees the right answer. Sometimes you have to use the evidence you have, trust your judgment, and make the call. And once you make the call, the next stage begins. The grind. After you choose what to focus on, you enter the stage where real improvement happens. This stage is not glamorous. It is not exciting every day. It is repetition, practice, failure, adjustment, feedback, more practice, more repetition. This is where you must put in a volume of work. Not once, not twice, not only when you feel motivated. Again and again. You have to stay with the work long enough to understand it deeply. You have to fall in love with the boring parts. Because greatness is often built through ordinary repetitions done for an extraordinary length of time. At the beginning, your taste may be better than your ability. You may know what good work looks like, but you may not yet be able to create it. You may know what a great video looks like, but your first videos are weak. You may know what good writing sounds like, but your first writing feels average. You may know what a great business should be, but your first product fails. You may know what a strong body looks like, but your first workouts are difficult. This gap can be painful. You can see quality, but you cannot yet produce quality. The only way to close that gap is repetition. You must do the work enough times that your ability catches up with your vision. If you want to become a great writer, you must write many words. Not a few paragraphs. Many words. You write, edit, delete, rewrite, and improve. If you want to become a great speaker, you must speak many times. You record, listen, correct, and try again. If you want to become a great designer, you must create many designs. Some will be bad. Some will be average. Some will teach you what works. If you want to become a great entrepreneur, you must test ideas, talk to customers, make mistakes, improve your offer, and keep learning. Mastery is not built by theory alone. Mastery is built by repetitions. This is also true in simple areas of life. If you want to dress well, you may need to try many clothes before you understand your style. If you want to cook well, you may need to make many bad meals before you can prepare something simple and delicious. If you want to make better videos, you may need to create many weak videos before you learn lighting, sound, script, pacing, editing, and storytelling. The person who becomes good is not the person who avoids mistakes. It is the person who keeps learning from them. Every repetition teaches you something. Every attempt gives feedback. Every failure removes confusion. Then, after exploration, decision, and repetition, you reach a powerful stage. Simplicity. First, everything feels complicated. You do not know what matters. You do not know what to ignore. You do not know which details are essential. You do not know which steps are wasting time. But after enough practice, you begin to see clearly. You learn what is important and what is unnecessary. You learn what creates results and what only creates noise. You learn which actions are fundamental and which actions are decoration. And that is when you can simplify. You remove what does not matter. You focus on the essentials. You stop trying to look busy and start doing the few things that create real progress. This is why simple is not the same as easy. Simple often comes after a long journey. A beginner makes things complicated because they do not understand the fundamentals. A master makes things simple because they know exactly what matters. Simplicity is earned. You earn it by trying. You earn it by choosing. You earn it by repeating. You earn it by learning from mistakes. You earn it by staying long enough to understand the work. Only then can you remove the extra and keep the essential. So if you are confused about your focus, here is the lesson. First, explore. Try enough things to discover what comes more naturally to you. Second, observe. Pay attention to results, energy, feedback, and progress. Third, decide. Do not wait forever for perfect certainty. Fourth, repeat. Put in the volume of work. And finally, simplify. Remove the unnecessary and master the fundamentals. Your focus is not always found in one moment. Sometimes, focus is discovered through movement. You try, you learn, you adjust, you choose, you practice, you simplify, and over time, your path becomes clearer. Do not be afraid of the early mistakes. Do not be afraid of the experiments. Do not be afraid of the boring repetitions. They are part of the process. Because the goal is not only to find something to focus on. The goal is to become the kind of person who can focus deeply, work consistently, and master what matters. So today, ask yourself, what have I been thinking about too much but not testing? What small experiment can I start? What result should I measure? What option seems to come more naturally to me? And what is one thing I may need to commit to, even without perfect certainty? Because at some point, success requires a decision. And after the decision, success requires repetitions. And after enough repetitions, you begin to understand the fundamentals. That is when life becomes simpler. That is when your work becomes stronger. That is when focus becomes possible. Thank you for listening. Take action today, and I'll see you in the next episode.